Sarah and the Dark Angel, written by Christopher IV. Chapter 2. I'm happy to see that you have learnt something, but we have just started our adventure. Then they appeared on a street at night. Don't be afraid someone will find you, just stay there, and he just vanished in front of her eyes. Sarah was crying, scared and lost in her mind. What are you doing here alone at that time on the street, my dear? Come with me. The lady took her to her home. The next day, the lady helped her to take her bath. She couldn't talk. She was lost in her mind. The lady was taking care of her as she was her daughter, and one day there was on the table the lady asked Sarah if she had a family. For the first time since the lady took her to her home, she answered and said, "Yes, my mum, we had a car accident. Now she is missing," and started to cry again. "It's okay, calm down. You will find your mother, my dear." "What is your name?" "My name is Sarah." "Sarah," said the lady, "what a coincidence, I lost my baby girl. Her name was Sarah too, and the dress that you are wearing was made for her, but she never wears it. She died before the day of her anniversary," and the lady cried too. For the first time, Sarah stopped thinking about her mum and sympathized with the lady. What is your name?" "I'm Laura, and I live alone in this house." A month passed. Laura and Sarah were getting along, and one day Laura has visited her home. "Sarah came here, my dear." Sarah went out and saw Laura with her, maybe, and his wife. "Let me present you to my friends, Mark and Sophie. This is Sarah, my new friend." "Come on," they went into the house. In the evening after eating, Laura and their friend were talking about the old days when they were children, and they laughed. Sarah looked at Mark and said, "It's so strange, but I feel like I know you from somewhere. I don't know why that feeling doesn't go away." "Oh, Sarah, it's your first time to meet my friend, and I think it's the same for them." "It's our first time to meet you, my dear," said Sophie to Sarah. "I guess I'm confused. Maybe I just miss my family," and Laura took her hand. "Remember, you are not alone. I'm there with you." 1 hour after Sarah was asleep, she opened her eyes and saw someone in her room. Before she opened her mouth, he put his hand on her mouth and took her out of the house, through the hoods, and went into the house there in the middle of the wood. "Here nobody will find you, my dear." At first he slapped her. "Why?" "I didn't do anything." "Shut up. You look just like Sarah and I can't resist seeing your face." And he strangled her, so hard that she lost consciousness. The second day, he came at night and cut one finger on her right hand, laughed. "I'm happy to see you suffer, Sarah." She was crying. "I'm sorry if I did something wrong," she said to him. "Shut up." He said, "I will never leave Laura with a child. We lost our child because of her. She must pay all her life. She would die alone without any children." Laura asked her neighbours and everyone if they saw Sarah around. For days she looked for her everywhere, but didn't find her. Mark and Sophie helped too. After days and days of research in the city, she finally asked her friends to help her look for Sarah in the hood. Mark tried to convince Laura that Sarah wasn't going into the forest. Maybe she had just gone back to her family. "Remember the other day she said she was missing her family? I'm sure that she goes back home, don't be like that. That girl wasn't your own daughter after all. Why are you so obsessive with the fact that she goes back to her family? My love, why are you reacting that way?" "The girl couldn't go in the middle of the night alone," said his wife. "My love," said Mark. "Laura herself explained us that she find that little girl alone on a street at night. Maybe she run away from her home at night and realized that she made a mistake." Sophie turned back to Laura and said, "I think Mark can be right. Nothing proved that something wrong happened to her." And Laura said, "But why she left and didn't take any clothes with her?" She heard the noise made by the door. It was him. Mark looked at Sarah and said, "I don't understand why she keep looking for you. I tried to convince her that you left, but she's still looking for you." He feeds her with soup and bread and took care of her wounds and her right hand. He had already removed 3 fingers on her right hand. Sarah was feeling very bad, and she asked him for the 1,000th time, "Mark, release me. I won't say anything to anyone. I'm feeling so ill." She was sat on a bed, and he laughed. "Why should I release you?" "Oh, my dear, stop dreaming. You will stay here with me until I decide what to do with you. If I kill you like the other Sarah, or if I kill you, shut up and eat," he said to her. The next days, Laura started search for Sarah in the woods with the help of the police. Sophie was cleaning her husband's cloths. Then she finds something strange in his trouser. She find a finger. She gets scared and let it fell on the floor and cried. At night, when everyone was sleeping, Mark went out as every night since he was back to the city, and went in the forest. He walked all the way until the river. He took a little boat and went to the other side of the river. He walked again and went inside the forest again, and finally arrived in the little house where he left Sarah. She was sat on the bed. He brings food, water and drugs for her wounds. Sarah was wounds from her face to her legs. He took care of her and gives her foods and drugs. Sarah was so tired that she couldn't talk this time. "Today I will leave you rest," he said, "because I can see that you are really bad," and he laughed. Laura deserved everything that happens to her, and his face changer. Sarah could see the anger in his eye and face. "Because of her we lost our son," and he cried. How she couldn't see him inside the car. She was drunk. Sarah called Sophie because she comes back from school and find her mother on the floor drunk. When we get there, Sophie and me went straight to the living room to help her. We woke her up. Just for 1 minute that we tried to calm down Sarah, who was crying because she was scared that her mum's was dead. Laura went out, took the car, with our son sleeping on the back seat. I remember the sound that the trunk made when it hit the car. When we went out, it was too late. My son didn't survive, just because her ex-husband divorced her for her boss. But she's still alive, so I decided to take the life of her daughter and any other children that she will took as her child. At the same time, the police went in the house and catch him. Sarah was took to the hospital and Laura apologized for the accident to Sophie. Sophie smiled and said, "I used to be angry, but I find peace and strength to forgive you. And I'm pregnant."
Taker appeared in the room where Sarah was. "Hello," he said. She opened her eye and didn't said anything. "His time to go home," he said, and snaps his fingers, and they was back in their living room on their chairs. Sarah has her hand back to normal. All her wounds disappeared. "What did you learn from that experience?" he asked her, and she said pain.